Josh is here to teach us about CMAs. And, no, I say CMAs are an art. They are not a science, they are an art. Maybe Josh will tell you guys something completely different, but it's a mixture of data and gut check. So I'm really excited to see how Josh does it because every agent does CMAs just a little bit differently. And no matter how long you've been in the game or how new you are, it's always helpful to learn from the big dogs how to do the CMA. So thanks for dedicating your time today, Josh.
Absolutely. Um, are we ready to go? Are we live and everything?
Yep.
Okay. Well, the first thing I want to start off and say is Lindsay did a training on CMAs a couple weeks ago, and it was really, really good. So when they came to me and they said, teach us on CMAs, I was like, well, crap, what am I going to do? She kind of covered a lot of really good stuff. So I'm going to tell you guys, if you want the nuts and bolts of like how to do a CMA, go watch that training first. Um, because of that, I decided to take this in a little different direction, and I wanted to talk about five and a half things that have cost me listings because of a CMA. So, for those of you guys that don't know, I've been in real estate now almost 10 years, and I have fallen flat on my face at listing appointments more than once, and a lot of it comes to the CMA. So the biggest thing that I think we need to remember when we're doing CMAs is you're not an appraiser, stay in your lane. So very early on in my career, I had kind of two, we'll say, well, one mentor and one guy that I shared an office with. And the guy that I shared the office with was more than happy to give me advice, but it wasn't good advice. My mentor, I should have listened to him more, but I tended to listen to the other guy more, which was dumb. That was my mistake as a new agent. But the one thing that that new guy tried to do with CMA is he tried to do all these adjustments, and he had the form like an appraiser and did all this. And here's the thing that you have to understand. First of all, you need to understand where you're at in your state. What are the requirements for a CMA? Some states require you to make sure they're signed. Others require specific titles of what you call your CMA. So where we're at, we're pretty lax in South Dakota here. They're not super strict on it. But the one thing you have to understand is you're giving a price opinion based on market conditions. You're not giving the actual market value of a house. That's what an appraiser does. So anytime I see someone doing a CMA and they start making all these adjustments and these like real defined numbers that they're adjusting and trying to with comps and all that type of stuff, you're going to run into a lot of problems. The other thing that it's going to do is it's going to put you in a really bad spot with your client because when they start seeing all this math and all this stuff that you've done, they're going to start thinking that this is like a spot on market value, and that's just not the case. The other thing about this too is you need to explain this to your clients where you make sure they understand, look, I'm not an appraiser. Okay. This is a price opinion based on market conditions of right now when I did the CMA. And I'm going to get to that a little bit later because that's one place I've screwed up too, is trying to pull data and then not refreshing it before you actually do the presentation. So, I like to tell people a CMA is really a broad view of the current market conditions. And to me, and Lindsay touched on this a lot, but to me, CMAs are all about positioning. So, what I tell my clients is that we are basically trying to position your house within the rest of the market with the other houses that buyers would appeal to within that same buyer pool. We want to position your house in the best way possible to sell. And that might mean that we might list a little bit below market value. We might list a little bit above market value. But ultimately, our whole goal is to get your home sold for the best price possible. But we have to do that by positioning it with the other homes on the market at that given time. So it's a positioning play. It's not a market analysis or it's not a market pricing type thing. And once you explain that to your sellers, it makes a lot of sense to them. And then a little later, I'm going to talk about how you can leverage that information to actually earn the listing. Um, the second thing that I think is really important is people need to understand there's no right or wrong way to do a CMA. I guess there technically is a wrong way. You can do a lot of stuff wrong. But ultimately, if you're using the market to guide your approach to the CMA, you're probably going to be right. And what I mean by that is look at you have to we were talked about positioning a little bit. You have to look at the specific market where you're at, and that will dictate what your CMA is going to look like. Do you have 100 past sales in the last 6 months? Then you're probably going to have more comps on your CMA. But if you've only had two, then you're going to have a lot less comps. So ultimately, I see way too many people try to like get stuck on there's only one way to do this, and if I don't do this, it doesn't work. Once again, this is a pricing opinion. You're not making data up, you're not making adjustments. Very early on in my career, what I would try to do sometimes if I didn't have enough comps is I tried to look at like the rebuild value of the property and all that type of stuff. And once again, I stepped outside of my lane and I got more into an appraiser lane, and it never went really well because then trying to explain that to your client doesn't position you well to earn that listing. So really focus on how the market is and let the market dictate how your CMA goes. Also, let the market dictate how you explain the CMA to your clients. This is a great opportunity when you're at a listing presentation and you're going through your CMA and you're explaining the comps and how you came up with this potential list price. It's a great way to explain to your clients the current state of the market. And your clients are it's all about information early on in a listing. And if you can give them great information early on so they understand the market, the likelihood that when things go a little bit sideways, or you don't have an offer right away and those type of things, the more likelihood that your clients are going to be okay with that and be like, you know what, you explained all this to us, we understand the market's a little bit slow right now. In the last 6 months we only have a small number of sales. All those type of things, you're giving your clients that information based on the market early. That's just going to help you down the road. Do you have any questions so far? No. Okay. So this kind of goes along with the other one, but I wanted to bring this up because there's some of the gurus out there that have given these like CMA playbooks of, oh, you have to have X amount of comps. And if, you don't have one, like I saw one guy that said, if you don't have five comps, then you need to go back as far as you can to get five. Well, that's not true, because an appraiser is not going to do that. The thing is, if you like have a limited number of comps, that's a reflection of the market, and sometimes you do have to get creative. So what I like to do is in my market, I've got a couple people, a couple appraisers in my phone that I've built a relationship over the time. And if I get in a spot where I'm really confused on a pricing issue or something, I have a good enough relationship with these appraisers that I can call them and be like, hey, I'm potentially taking this listing. Here's my CMA. This is kind of what I'm thinking for value. What are your thoughts on it? Get an opinion from an appraiser before you even go do the listing appointment. The thing about it, I don't ask these appraisers, I'm not asking them to do a full appraisal. I'm just asking them to give my opinion. And the cool thing about it is, for the most part, there's not very many appraisers in every market, especially in a smaller market. And so they see a majority of what's going on. The other thing about having relationship with appraisers is they really have a pretty good pulse of what's going on with the market in terms of pricing when it comes to high or low. Um, so if you get into a spot where you don't have very many comps, pull somebody else in, pull your managing broker in, ask for their opinion, ask for other people's opinion. Um, all too often, I think we get stuck on only one way to do it, and you have to hit all these benchmarks when you're putting together a CMA, and that's just not the case. In fact, I think when you start doing that, you start making worse decisions and you start pulling things in that aren't comps. You start pulling in properties that have larger lots, all those type of things, because you have to hit a magic number to be right. And I just don't agree with that. So use your resources, but there's really no absolute. You have to look at your specific market. Um, Me personally, I had an eye-opening experience because when we moved to South Dakota, I actually thought CMAs became a lot harder because it's a lot smaller market, we didn't have the volume of sales that we had when we were in the Portland market. And so they did become quite a bit more difficult because you just don't have the volume. The other thing that will really help you if you're in a smaller market is to really track sales. So like for me, I have a save search set up in my MLS that every Friday it sends me a report of um, every property that has closed that week in kind of my targeted area. It's not the whole MLS, but I do that because it kind of keeps me up to date of what's going on. A lot of people do new listings, which I think are important too, but I like to do sold listings because the way I have it set up, I can see what it was listed for, what it actually sold for, and you get a pretty good idea too of direction of pricing and all that type of stuff, which helps you when you're actually doing a CMA. This is a big one for me, and I learned a very valuable lesson with this one. If you're going to prepare your CMA ahead of time, make sure to double check it before you actually present it. So probably about 7 years ago, I went on a listing appointment, and at the time the market was pretty busy. I was pretty busy, so I had done it a few days in advance. And the problem was I was going to meet with a seller who was very, very intelligent, highly educated when it came to current market. They'd been tracking everything, doing all the stuff they need to do as a seller. And it was funny slash embarrassing, but I actually went there with this CMA, and from the time I actually prepped it till the time I presented with them, a couple things had come on the market that were very, very good comps for this house. And I missed them because I did not check my CMA to make sure that nothing had changed over the last couple days. And they called me out on it. And in the middle of a listing presentation, it's happened a few times in my career, but getting called out is about one of the worst things that you can do, because most of the time it means that you probably aren't going to get that listing. And this one I did not get. Um, but basically, if you're going to do it ahead of time, just check and make sure that you have the most current data. The other part to this too, this is an opportunity for you to tell your client and explain the whole CMA process. And I always tell my clients, here's the thing you need to understand about a CMA. I did the CMA a few days ago. I checked this morning to make sure that I had all the comps and there weren't anything that I missed from the time that I made it till now. However, from the time I did that until I sat down with you, Mr. Seller, this CMA could have become obsolete because there's a possibility that from the time I checked everything this morning till we're sitting here, there's been new properties listed or there's been new properties that have closed, gone pending, all those type of things. So one thing I always tell my sellers is, a CMA is pretty much obsolete the second you hit the print button. And once again, you can use this as an opportunity to educate your clients, but it really shows them too that you understand how this works. And part of the reason that I'm huge on educating your clients is it gives you a leg up. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have, most of the time, you're not going to be the only one doing a listing presentation for these sellers. If you are, kudos to you because it means you've built such a good relationship that they're not going to test other agents. But that normally doesn't happen. And especially if you're the first one to go, you have an opportunity to explain the CMA in a way that nobody else is going to, that's going to really highlight you. So, one thing that I do a lot of the time is I'll tell my sellers, look, this CMA is already outdated. This is why. And, like we've already talked about, this is not a market value. This is a pricing opinion based on these factors. What's going to happen is I'm going to put that in their brain and they're going to be thinking about it. The next agent is going to come in, and let's face it, a lot of agents don't really explain this very well in the listing presentation part, and they go straight to marketing or all the things that are like sexy when you're doing a listing presentation. And so but by me setting the stage and explaining the CMA really well and explaining how it actually works, it gives you a leg up because they're going to come in and they're going to start talking about probably market value and how the CMA is all that. They're going to a lot of times they end up pigeonholing themselves. And that's one thing that I see. If you don't explain the CMA right, you really pigeonhole yourself for down the road, especially if you have to do price drops and those type of things. And these agents are going to come in and they're going to actually make you look much better by the way they explain your CMA. I think explaining the CMA and how it works is equally as important as your marketing plan, and it should be intertwined together. And that's one thing Lindsay talked about in her training, that I really agree with is, your CMA and your marketing plan should be intertwined and they should play off each other. They're not two separate things, they go together to get a listing sold. And so, if you can prepare your clients much better than everybody else, you're going to have a much easier time getting the listing and earning it, from the listing presentation. Uh, okay, now this is one that is funny because originally, about 7, 8 years ago, we were using Cloud CMA. And I love Cloud CMA for a presentation side of things. It puts together one of the most professional CMAs that I've ever seen. Unfortunately, like in South Dakota, we don't have Cloud CMA, so I can no longer use it. But we were using it back when we were in Oregon, and I really loved it. The problem is, for a long time, I was using Cloud CMA to pull my comparables. What I started to notice fairly quickly is there was something going on with the link to the MLS and it was missing some. And so what we had to do is we had to stop using Cloud CMA to pull our comps. What we did is we would start pulling our comps in the MLS and then transferring those with the MLS number into Cloud CMA to say, hey, I want to use X, Y, and Z as my comparables for this. And it really helped our CMAs get, I think, a lot more accurate because we weren't missing data. And this is something I've seen with KV Core. They have a system called KV Core Presents. Most of your CRMs and websites have some type of CMA platform to help. But the biggest thing with that I found is don't let those software programs pull your comparables. You, as the professional, do the research, run the search in your MLS to find the comparables, find the ones that actually match, and then transfer those to those software programs that put together a really good presentation. The interesting thing is when this happened with us, it was really before AI. And I think this is even more important now, because we're seeing all these AI software programs that are doing CMAs. I have actually seen a couple of them, and they're, in my opinion, horrendous. I think that is kind of market specific. I know the ones that it pulls here in South Dakota are pretty bad. Um, so don't let your software just pull all your comps. Do the search, put them in there yourself. Um, so this is the last thing that I have for you guys today. I'm going to keep this one shorter, but use the CMA as a tool to really earn the listing and to educate your clients. And this is one thing Lindsay touched a lot on her training, but I think it's so important is set realistic expectations, and your CMA is where that process is going to start. Because if you come in guns a blazing and you're overzealous with how accurate your CMA is, and you talk highly about how it's perfect and blah blah blah, what's going to happen is you're going to set an unrealistic expectation with your seller that this is like the market value, you're never going to have to take a price drop, blah 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 blah. Whereas if you take the time to use the CMA as a tool and really explain how it works to your clients, explain, educate them on, the market conditions and all these type of things and how, you're doing the best you can to position their home to sell quickly, but it has nothing to do with market value. It gives you a lot more latitude if you have a stale listing because of a dip in the market or whatever it is. It gives you a lot more latitude to go to your sellers and say, hey, we really tried to get as close as possible, but because the data that we had wasn't great or the market has shifted, because let's face it, what we're seeing right now is the market is um, very dependent upon the interest rates. So what we're seeing is interest rates drop, we get activity, and as they go up, we lose activity. Well, if you're trying to price a home and playing that game, it gets very difficult. Explaining those things to your clients is so important because it sets a realistic expectation that when you go to your clients and you say, hey, we're not getting a lot of traffic. I think we might need a price drop, or we might need to stage the house, or we might need to do something like that. With all of those things, you can go back to the CMA as evidence of, like, when I did my listing presentation with you guys, I explained to you, how this works and everything. And so it's not like then you're trying to go back and take back, how you talked up, you were so good at this and blah, blah, blah. Be honest with your clients, set realistic expectations. And I think the CMA is really one of those things. Educate your clients with it. And in the listing presentation, really use the CMA with your marketing plan together to try to earn the listing as you're going. So that's pretty much all I've got for you guys today. Do we have any questions or anything?
I don't see anything in Twitch or Zoom.
You did great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. You
You're
did an
welcome.
amazing job. And I
Hey,
appreciate you doing those mistake ones. Like a lot of agents forget, like it may have been back in the day that they were told to pull this many comps or, things like that. So I appreciate you. Our market's changed so much and we have to change with it.
yeah. Well, and that's one thing too that I think really, the way that I did CMAs when the market was crazy, and stuff was selling with multiple offers in 2 days has totally changed from the way that I do CMAs now. It's very market specific. And a lot of it, I'll be honest with you, I've learned with experience and time. And so that's the thing. If you're a newer agent, I highly recommend that just start doing CMAs on everything. And what I used to do as a new agent, I would actually take listings when they would hit the market, and I'd do a CMA for it. And I'd look at, if I were to do this and list this home, where would I have listed at? And then I'll watch that listing to see, where does it sell? How long was it on the market? Those type of things, that information you can get from doing things like that is phenomenal. It's some of the best information because it's using real world data. And I think all too often in real estate, we like to do a lot of role playing, which I think is good. But anytime you can look at the real world data and say, hey, this listing did X, Y, and Z, even if it's not your listing, it's great data for you for down the road. The other thing it does is it makes you an expert and you can talk about those things with clients and you can explain, hey, this is how I track the market. This is how I stay in tune with everything that's going on.
I
You
think
actually
that's
brought up oh, I'm sorry. I was going to tell you, like, kudos. You brought up one of my favorite points, and I actually do this, leveraging like other brokers and agents to do a CMA for you or review it. Because when I can go to a listing appointment and say, hey, I've also called other agents and brokers and reviewed this data, and it's on point, and it gives you that confidence. And that's not something I was ever taught. So I thought it was really cool that you threw that up there because it's a great point.
Yeah. And that's where, I'm big on building relationships with other agents in my market. And there's people at even other brokerages that I'll be like, hey, what's your opinion of this? What's your opinion on that? I'm thinking about getting this listing. Obviously, don't give them an address. Don't, but you can talk in real general form and just say, hey, the other thing you can do too, I've actually like pre-sold listings that way. I've called agents before just to get opinion. And next thing you know, they're like, I actually have a buyer for that property. And I'm like, well, great, let me do the listing. If I get it, I'll hit you up. I'll go to a listing appointment and I'll tell them, hey, I might have a buyer for this because I've already been talking about, potentially your listing because I've been getting data. You got to be a little bit careful with that because obviously we can't coming soon with MLS rules and everything. But in my opinion, if you're not speaking on a specific address, you're just talking in generalities, and another agent says, hey, I might have a buyer for that property, you're not really like, advertising a listing that you don't have yet. So just be a little bit careful with that, but it's a great way to get data and also network with your other agents in the market too.
all great points. What I was thinking was, I love what you said about um practicing CMAs on listings, right? Especially as a new agent. And I think that goes hand in hand with why I think it's so important to go preview property. So like if you're not actively in an appointment or lead gen, like go preview the properties, then do a CMA. And I think that goes great hand in hand, but it builds your confidence. The more confident you are, obviously the better. And so it's really cool when you get a buyer lead and you're able to say like, oh yeah, I was just in that property, what the pictures don't show is the cat pee, right? So things like that.
Yeah, I think it gives you a great deal. I used to do that when I was brand new. The market that I was really focused on was a vacation rental market. And I would literally, anytime something hit the market, I'd call the listing agent and be like, hey, can I go tour it by myself? You know, and I was always honest with them, like, I'm not taking a client or anything. So if it's going to inconvenience your sellers, I don't want to do it, you know. And a lot of times he'd be like, hey, that's not going to work, but we're doing an open house on Saturday. Okay, great. I'll go to the open house. But I would try to walk through every property that was listed. It wasn't a huge market. We didn't have a ton of new listings. And part of it was back in that day, I was doing Zillow, and it was super powerful when I would get a Zillow phone call to be like, oh, I was actually in that property yesterday, and this is what I know. You can give so much more insight to what you can just see the photos, that it really gives you a huge, I think, boost when it comes to authority in that specific market.
Absolutely. Awesome. Any other questions, comments? All right. Well, I hope you have an amazing day. When in doubt, reach out, message us if you need us. We are here for you. We all started this morning with a blank slate at 0. So go out and talk to a buyer, a seller, or an agent today. Have a good one. Bye.